Hey everybody, it's Mike with Monkey Fab. I think today I'm going to take you off the tripod. I think today we might start working on the exhaust for this guy. Got it right now, yeah. In typical build your hot rod fashion, I believe that I have not really spent a lot of time thinking this through. Other than a glancing thought, and I didn't really order anything. so I have a lot of pipes and tubes and bends and stuff that I've just been collecting. You know, I'll see somebody on Facebook and they'll say like, hey, I got these pipes, and I'll buy them, or I see a deal or some company's doing a sale or something, and I'll get a bend here or there, whatever, and I have an accumulation of that. And then I always keep straight stock on hand for Monkey Fab stuff, so I'm not really sure what I have, but I know I got this pipe coming out of here, and as we go back the car, you can see I got a drive shaft, I got some linkage to deal with there, and then I got a back axle to clear, and a gas tank, and out the back of the car. So what I'm kind of thinking is, let's see if I can get a pointy thing so I can. So what I'm kind of thinking is, let's see, can you see the screwdriver? Is I'm thinking start here and we come back towards the tail shaft. Just kind of kick it over and come back towards the tail shaft maybe, or towards the drive shaft anyway, with a kind of a straight pipe, as straight as we can go. As we go past the tail shaft around here, I want to put a loud valve in, and then I want to bring that pipe back to close to the pumpkin and probably kick it back out. There's like these little humps here, so I want to kind of kick it back over this way and then kind of dump it in front of the axle is what I'm thinking on this, at least for now, because I kind of, and I might actually not even put the loud valve in. I might just put a V-band where I'm going to put the loud valve in and just cap it for now, if it doesn't look like I have enough material. Where it passes the tail shaft somewhere in here, I'd like to bring it over to this side and then run it back. Before we get to the cable, put this resonator in right here, bring it past that where this hump's at in this area here, put the muffler, and then bring it up over the axle and then back out, and I think maybe down in a diagonal or something. So actually the real exhaust, the muffled exhaust, will actually pass the, get outside of the car, not just fume up the car. And I think the loud valve can dump behind, right at the axle. I think even if something catastrophic happened and it started spewing out, its guts, then at least that would hopefully pass my rear tires and not send me spinning off the road wildly in flames into a tree, is kind of my thinking. So that's where we're kind of at, and we got that stuff down there. And then I found all these old rusty pipes. So it looks like I got 5, 6. There's one down there that's aluminized. You see that one by the fan right there? Pretty sure this is aluminized. I hate using that. If I use that, I'm going to be like sad-faced. But I have a 45. So I got 5 90s. 7 if you count the aluminized bullshit. I found the mother lode. I thought I had more. I'm like, if I'm nothing, I'm a good hoarder of metal and automotive stuff. So I have enough bends, no doubt, I could probably wrap the exhaust around the car. So now I guess there's nothing to it but to do it. I wish I had a pole stand. Got the MIG welder out. I think I'm just going to MIG weld all this because it's mild still and I'm really not in the mood for cleaning. And I got my little Portaband, these are great for doing exhaust jobs. They you can just take it right to where you're working at, throw it down on the ground, and make relatively straight cuts. You know, not like vertical bandsaw straight, but good enough, good enough. And so we're all kind of set up. So I'm just gonna start. I had a friend of mine, and I said, "Well, how do you do the exhaust?" And he said, "You just point it where you want it to go." So that's what we're gonna do. I think that I'm gonna start making one that goes from the exhaust. It's gonna have to dip down just a little bit to make sure I can clear my linkage here, as I believe this rotates down. So let's see. Does it go up? I'm not sure. Can we tell? We can't tell because it's locked. But I'm gonna dip down just a little bit anyway to clear this guy, and then back up. So it'll kind of dip down and it'll shoot back up. I try to keep it from under. Try to make the subframe kind of the low point of the project. So if we can stay everything above the subframe rails and the leaf springs, then we should be pretty good. It's always the middle shit that gets crushed as you go over a speed bump. So we'll try to tuck that as high up here in this axle, in this drive shaft hump as we can. And I think we'll kind of just come back and start like we're shooting over here, and then we'll put a V-band before the loud valve, and we'll do a Y pipe over to this side here, and we'll put a V-band in on just after the Y, so we can take this side down. I think we'll probably go from this whole side will be pretty much solid until right before the axle, and I'll put a V-band there. That way I just break that off and hook it up over the axle when you have to disassemble it, if you had to disassemble it for any reason, and the rest will be able to just drop right down if you had it on a lift like I do right now. So that's kind of what's going on in my mind, and here we go. That's how you make like a little radius pie cut. You just kind of hold it at the angle you want. Imagine your circle going through it. Mark out the area you don't need. Buzz that off with the saw, and then finish the rest either by hand or with a belt sander or a die grinder, speedy grinder, angle grinder. I'm glad that it rained fucking dirt. Alright, so what we got now is a flute, a big flute. Now, it's the pie cut. It's where the pie matches the cut. And it's pretty good. Now, there's a little bit of overlap in there, but I'm not too terribly worried about it because the whole point of this whole side is to choke the exhaust and make it quieter, so I don't think that's going to matter. What I am going to do is I'm going to clean these pipes up a little bit around where they need to be welded at, and I'm going to TIG weld first the V-band onto this guy, and then I'm going to TIG weld that onto there, just because it's going to be easier than trying to... So we're welding stainless steel to mild, and it doesn't fit the V-band very well because that's what happens when you put stuff in bins. It misshapes it and does all kinds of crazy stuff. So we're a little bit on the narrow side of what we need to be, but that's alright because we're just going to hold it and tack it. Generally when I do this, I will back perch my stuff, but this isn't for customers, it's for me, and if it breaks it's right here and I can fix it, so I'm not going to bother to back perch this guy. What I am going to do is, you see I got it clamped to I have it clamped to a cast iron V-band thing, and that's just going to help pull some of the heat out as I weld, and which is good. And I'm going to use a 309 filler wire to weld this with. I don't have much left. I need to order. And we're going to weld this at 100 amps DC. No shenanigans. We are, however, in order to ensure a fabulous finished product, going to use one of these GLS Fab cups, the number 16, which I happen to sell off my website. If you go to monkeyfabgarage.com, you can pick yourself one up for just 40 bucks. Or if you need a stubby gas lens kit or a new small gas lens kit, you can add that for just another 30 bucks. You get the lens, the collet, and the insulator. And you don't have to buy 2 or 3 at a time. I'm going to show you guys this. Sometimes this is just the way it goes. So I bought this tube. It's kind of, like I said, I'll shop on, just find people selling stuff every once in a while, and I'll, like find a good deal on some bins and pick them up. But these V-bands are pretty consistent. If I take a good from a known good 3-inch tube and stick it in my V-band, it's gonna fit in there well. And you'll see this guy, you see these gaps in here, and that's just how it goes sometimes. What I'll usually do is I'll butt it up on one side and get it to tack like a fusion tack, and then after one's butted up and fused or tacked on there, I can manipulate the tube by hand and you know, get it to where it's sitting where it needs to be, and then we'll go ahead and run our beads around it once we got 3 or 4 tacks on there. So we gotta let that cool down so we can hit the other end. I don't want to weld the weld that onto a huge pipe and have it be completely a pain in the ass to manipulate, and with that big heavy cast iron sleeve on. But you'll see we got there's pretty good penetration going through there. And if you backwards mild, it looks just like it'll look just like stainless does on the inside. It'll look nice and look like the kind of the bead on the inside will look like the bead on the outside. But you'll see we tacked it in 4 spots. I think one over here, one definitely there, and I think one here. And then we started here, and we just started moving around, and it was you know, nice and tight. As we got to the front, the gap, you can see the gap kind of got wider, so I had to make the bead profile wider, and it got a little because making it wider, it got more heat in that part. So, but then we got back down to normal, and that's it. I mean, that's the coverage these GLS cups give. They're great cups, and the stick out's nice because you can see what you're actually doing. What I like to do when I do V-bands, and I was taught this by the master, Mr. Aldo Welds himself, not necessarily this technique, but just this, like, try not to, you want to come right to the V-band corner, and like you'll see over here, I kind of biffed it, whoops, I kind of biffed it there, and kind of biffed it there. I kind of ate into the V-band. And you don't really want to do that. You want to just kind of go right along that line. And what I'll do is I start and I'll aim my arc a little bit more towards the tube than the V-band. And then I'll let it start puddling both. I mean, you can put enough heat in there, you'll see both start to kind of puddle, and I'll dip my tungsten in there. And as I dip my tungsten in, I kind of pull back a little bit. And I watch as I pull back, I'm adding filler and the bead's growing. So when I see that bead just touch the edge of the flange, then I stop feeding. I pull my tungsten out and I go forward to the end of where that bead was. Kind of like, if you can imagine a circle, like this guy right here is where I ended. I'd go right to the end of it. So I got a circle here. I'm in the middle. I'm actually probably a little bit like this. Then I go here and I start feeding again. and as I feed, I back up and watch it, you know, come back out to the edge. And as soon as it touches the edge, I come forward a little bit, move my filler out, come forward a little bit with my tungsten, and we just start doing that again. It's just a, and as you do it, it's kind of a sewing machine motion, I guess. But you just watch that filler back up into the flange, and then you know, hey, I need to stop there and move forward. And that's pretty good. Pretty good. I like to say it's pretty good for making consistent beads, but this really doesn't look consistent. But I'm telling you, there was a gap. There was a gap in it. God damn it! Don't judge me. Don't you judge me. So I'm gonna let that cool, and I'm gonna go, I don't know, do something. So this is, I speak about known good. This is tube. This is tube from Columbia River Mandrel bins, where I get a lot of my tube at. A lot of my, well, all my bins. I don't really shop anywhere else. I think they do a pretty good job. So that's the gap with the you know, like I said, known good tube in the receiver there, and it's about probably, I'd say, 15 or 20 thou gap. Somewhere in there, and I just try to center it, and that way I'll get a little bit more of an even surface, an even weld all the way around. So I'll throw you up in here, since you guys likes to watch the welding. I like to watch welding. I like welding, Mr. Mike. So that one was a little bit better. There's a couple spots I chewed, but overall not too bad. But again, the key is just finding the right heat range, using a good cup, and you know, give yourself some practice. You just got to be able to see. It's like I said, it's mostly visual. You gotta know what you're looking at, and get that right. There's no real way to explain it, but you just gotta watch to figure out like what looks good under the hood versus what looks good when you're done, and then you got to kind of mirror the two. So like, hey, well, I know if it's looking like this under the hood, then when I get done, it should, because you can't watch as you weld necessarily and know like, hey, this is. I mean, you have a generally good idea of whether or not you're on track, you know, and you're dropping consistent beads, but you know what you see under the hood is going to be a little bit different than when you lift the hood, you know, after the gas is, you know, done shielding. Everything counts. You have to watch everything and like catalog that. You catalog in your mind like, hey, if this is happening, something bad's happening, you know, I did this to try to you know, calm that, whatever it is. Metal started running away from me and I shoved more filler in, and that was the key. It wasn't necessarily, you know, getting off the heat or whatever works for you. You just got to keep that in your mind. It's like cataloging it, just like, you know, when you learn to write or you learn to swim or whatever it is, it's all the same. It's all the same, man. So I'm gonna let that guy cool now, and then we're gonna combine the two to make one super duper paratrooper Y assembly. I don't know. Craziness is happening. So here is like subframe to subframe level. All right, and so you got the exhaust kind of poking down just a little bit. We had to add, let me move this grounding strap. So we had to add a little bit to kind of kick it down to clear the steering linkage, which is right there. It goes up, so we got probably an eighth of an inch between it and that, so it should be good. So then we had to kick it back up, kind of over a little bit that way, because it was originally kind of pointed in, and I wanted to go straight a bit. So we got that done. And it's just a matter of cutting and fitting. I mean, I'm sure I'll probably do a little montageness of that, but we got the Y pipe. Let's see if I can unplug the battery and go hit this real quick. My battery's critically low. We got critical low alert on the battery, son. So it's cooling off. I think I might have lost the data on my last one. I did some of my, wasn't written to the memory card. I don't know. I was welding that V-band right there and just showing you guys that. But we got this guy welded on too, so it's a good, you know, got it straight through, and that's going to go to our little valve, and then that guy there will go to the actual exhaust system, and that's probably going to be the only nice looking part of the exhaust, and none of it will matter, not one bit, because I'm going to paint it all anyway. Just paint it flat black or something like that. So let's go check, see how it fit up, see if it worked, see if it did what we needed it to do. Raise the dead. That looks pretty good. So there we go, right there. Just tack that thing in place, and now we got one going one way for our loud valve, and the other one so we can run for nice quiet exhaust.